Stacey Abrams also on Capitol Hill today, and she was testifying what she says are unfair voting practices. The House of Representatives was hearing about a ruling regarding an Alabama case in 2013 called Shelby versus Holder. It changed part of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Voting Rights Act requires some states and government to get federal clearance before changing any voting laws or practices. The 2013 case overruled that. Abrams and other civil rights activists claim that it made it easier for some jurisdictions to deny people, particularly minorities, the right to vote.
Among the states, however, Georgia has been one of the most aggressive in leveraging the lack of federal oversight to use both law and policy to target voters of color.
Abrams went on to say that Georgia's voter poll purges and its inability to process voter registrations quickly kept citizens from voting in the last gubernatorial election.